All right, both Google and iPhone say it's time. It is 6:30. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Can I have a roll call, please?
Harper. Here. Rector. Here. Rosales.
Here.
Tinsley.
Present.
Anderson. Cruz. Hartke.
Here. We have a quorum present. Let's move on to the agenda. Can I have a motion, please? Moved by Mr. Recker, second by Mr. Tinsley. Any discussion or changes to the agenda? All those in favor of it, please say aye. Any opposed? All right, that will move. Let's go on to the minutes. We have included in our packet the minutes from our September 5th meeting. Can I have a motion on those, please? Anderson and Rosales. Any questions or adjustments to those minutes? All those in favor of these minutes, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And those will pass. We have no public nor public participation slips, so we'll move on ahead to communications. Any communications from board members? Anything important? All right, we'll move on to items for the county board. I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the GIS Brookins lease, and then we can discuss it. Can I have a motion? Moved by Mr. Rector. Seconded by Mr. Rosales. Dana, you got anything for us on that?
Yes, sir. Thank you. In your packet is a draft lease agreement. It's been drafted by the State's Attorney's Office, been shared with the GIS. We have taken under consideration a few minor revisions to the contract, hence I went ahead and we've made those. I passed a copy out to you. They were minor in general. I'll tell you what they are. Basically a name change. We use GIS. They would prefer to be known as a Geographic Information System Consortium instead of GIS. State's Attorney folded the rental fee as well as the custodial fee together to come up with a rental lease. GIS was opposed to this concept. I could understand why. We've agreed to separate them again as they were the previous year. The real reason that they really want to do that is they would be charged more in the future if they included the $1 in the lease fee as we begin to increase their rental rates and rack those up. So they wanted to keep that consistent and separate. So we've agreed to that. So the rental fee is basically for 2017 is $410, and it goes up to $432 for the following year, 2018. We'll look at probably doubling that the following year in 2019 to try and move this closer to the direction of consistent rates within Champaign County. Basically what those are is between $10 and $12 are for rental rates that do not include custodial or utilities. Between $12 and $15 a square foot are rents that would include utility costs. GIS does pay their utilities. We take the entire bill for Brookins, divide it by the square footage, and then multiply it times their GIS is 995 square feet that they rent from us. Yes, we are putting this lease together a little late. They have been paying rent. We have not formalized a lease, and when we sat down with the State's Attorney's Office in late June, July, talked about formalizing a lease agreement with these guys so they would not be separate from any other group that we rent space from. So we've put together this document. Basically, GIS is comfortable with it in terms of their latest suggestions that we've made, that we've incorporated into the document. So we hope you agree, and we'll approve it.
Any questions for Dana on this? From anybody?
There was some changes from the one that we received through the mail versus the one that's
Yes.
on our desk?
Yeah, I just turned.
There's about $1,000 difference or so?
There's about a what?
$1,000 difference?
No, there's no, it's the same rate. It's just broken out a little bit different. In the one that you received in the mail, It would be about $5.12. And that's broken down into $4.10 for a rental rate and $1.02 for custodial servicing of GIS.
Yeah, it's like you were saying,
The old one or the new one?
New one, it'll be
In
under services
the
provided.
original one we received, the two were combined, as you said, the custodial and the rent, but
Article 11
GIS wanted it
services.
broken apart, so we broke it apart for the one we have in front of us.
Yeah, we make it confusing, I'm sorry.
I trust your word. You're the professional. Good. Answer my questions.
Okay.
Anyone else? Okay, that being said, I'm going to go ahead and ask for a vote. All those in favor of this term, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that's approved. Let's go on to the Facilities Director report. Letter A is the Brookins RTUs.
Okay. Reliable, who's our contractor, they were the low bidder for this project, replacing two rooftop multi-zone units here at Brookins in Pod 200. They've been on site. They developed a plan to install the new piping. They've been on site installing the new piping to deliver the new service to these two units. They've done this pre-work in order to try and minimize, once the units get here, our downtime. We initially thought we're going to be down for about 5 days without heat to Pod 200. And once we found out, it was determined that these units were late getting here, we tried to cut corners and move up the time schedule a little bit so we don't have to wear big winter coats to work in Pod 200 for very long. So they've cut the installation down to about 3 days. The units are expected to be here on October 30th with complete power wiring, new units to begin piping in to the tie-ins on the 31st. By November 1st, they'll finalize everything and actually fire them up, and we'll be running. They'll still have a lot of work to do to finalize, but at least we'll be able to deliver heat to Pod 200. So feel comfortable with everything is put in place to try and minimize, the impact of no heat in the building for at least that pod for those 3 days. So we will. As we get a little closer to the date, notify everybody in that pod and alert them to the schedule, and hope that they'll grant us a little patience and dress in layers those days. Any questions about the Brookins project? In the handout, you'll notice the second sheet, it's titled up top, Brookins 2 Multi-Zone RTU Replacement Project, total expenses. Those are expenses to date. Total project cost for this between engineering and the bid price, $278,133. To date, we've spent $32,000 with the invoices that have come in and the first pay application to Reliable. That represents about 12%, I think, off the top of my head, roughly. So we've got a ways to go, but they've been doing this pre-work, so I do anticipate receiving a second pay application for all the piping work that's been going on. But it's moving forward, and hope we don't have any more snags with delays.
Any other questions? All right, Dana, go ahead.
Okay. The handout, there's a number of pictures. Starts with looking, pieces of wood, metal, and some posts sticking up out of the ground. You can take a look at those. That's over by the physical plant, coroner's office, election control. That's the pad. That first picture of is a pre-pad pouring. There's a second picture, and it shows you the pad poured. But all of the conduit, for electric and control cables have been set. Concrete pad's been poured, and it's cured for over a week now. Automatic transfer switch, which is a big unit, comes in sometime this week. It will be installed on Friday and hung on the wall in the physical plant shop. All non-generator, meaning the generator itself, all non-generator electric work will be completed by Friday the 13th. So basically what happens when a new generator arrives on the 26th or thereabouts, they'll just lift that into place, they'll hook up, and they'll be virtually ready to go, to have an operating system for power backup. I think there's at the back of that handout is another recap of where our expenses are to date for that project. All-in cost for this project is $101,967. We spent today $26,000, so that's roughly 26% of the budget. But the big piece is coming once the generator gets here at the end of the month. So, any questions?
I have one.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Do you know how long the generator will operate once it's here, I'd say on a full tank of diesel?
It's diesel, and I believe it's got a 400-gallon tank on it. It's not a huge,
But how long do you think that'd run? Do you have any idea? Just out of curiosity.
30 hours, 36
Okay.
hours.
All right, thanks.
A couple other quick items I included in the handout sheet. It's orange and blue, but it's an updated capital asset fund projects and their costs, and I've included a percentage of project completion on the far right. Feel free to take a look at that. That differs slightly from the document included in the handout, because I did get in yesterday the costs or the invoices for the courthouse paving, courthouse resealing and restriping, which are also photos in there, as well as an invoice for the MetCAD parking lot resealing and striping. So wanted to give you an updated look at where our costs are. We're anticipating still having a little bit money left. Don't know that for sure yet, just kind of waiting on where the projects are going to go and if we're going to have any overruns. Hopefully by November, we'll be done with just about everything, and we'll have a very good idea of where we're going to end up. But I anticipate having $15,000 to $20,000 left over at the end of the fiscal year. Big money. Yes, sir.
Just so I can learn something tonight, on the capital asset project, HAVA systems, what's HAVA systems stand for, sir?
Heating, air conditioning, ventilation system.
Heating, okay, it used to be HVAC or something, so I just want to make sure, that's what I figured it was. Thank you.
Depends upon who you talk to. Okay. Heating, air, ventilation, or, I mean, it's, yeah, different contractors use different titles, so.
Anybody else with questions for the facilities director?
On this parking lot, annual rate, when you did the striping, I saw numbers.
Yeah, the numbers are at the courthouse, and the courthouse, we do rent spaces at the courthouse. There's also spaces at the courthouse that are provided to the workers of the courthouse. The county has worked an arrangement with the city of Urbana. The county purchased the pay station, so we keep all of the fees, which is, depending upon the year, somewhere between $26,000 and $28,000 a year at, a quarter for 30 minutes, basically. And if you go a lot longer, then the fee drops down. But the city of Urbana patrols a lot and tickets vehicles that have run over time or parked incorrectly or didn't pay. And the city then collects those fees and retains those fees 100%.
Good night.
All the outer lots and parking lots, all the spaces in the outer reaches of the lot are provided at no cost, so that would be the judges, it's the elected officials, it's basically what I would call the senior staff. Those are the folks who are union employees who have seniority status. They've worked for 20 years or 25 years, whatever. Those folks park a little closer and allowed to park there. I don't have the number off the top of my head, but I'll be happy to shoot you an email with those numbers in it. Other parking that is provided to courthouse, we've got a small lot that holds about 20 spaces behind Illini Oil, just across the street, down Main Street a little further east. And then we rent 60 spaces at Save-A-Lot for employees of the courthouse to park.
And those rental spaces are from 8 to 5 or 24 hours?
The rental spaces are 8 to 5,
So it's free
Monday
at
through
5.
Friday. And in Urbana, actually, you can park at any meter downtown. Free advertising for the city, by the way. At any meter downtown, so if you'd like to go to a restaurant downtown Urbana, park at a meter, Saturday, Sunday, no cost.
Cool, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, Dan, is that all you have for us?
That's all I have today.
All right, in that case, we have no other business. Our next meeting will be Tuesday, November 7th at 6:30 PM. Items for consent agenda is 7A, and without any objection, I will declare us an adjournment. Thank you, everybody.